Thank you, Ariel. Um, Hi, welcome everybody. Really, really good to see you. Um, and thank you for making the time, Shana. And I kind of feel like all the deadlines are falling on this week, and I always am impressed by Ariel's energy. Welcome. I love it, and I feel like my energy is like maybe in a little bit of a different place. And also specifically, I just had like something happening in my house, and I feel like I need to ground a little bit. And since we're grounding when we're entering this space anyhow, uh, and I assume that some people also had some full days and maybe some moving things happening to them right before. Um, I would love to just start with 2 minutes of journaling to just kind of let ourselves arrive. And the question I always start with is, what is moving in me? Because our work is really about becoming intimate with ourselves as Yemima's understanding is that the psychological is the way to the spiritual, and our way to connect to God and to really be fully in this world is to be able to be intimate with ourselves and to reach in and tune in um, our soul, that thing that flows in us. And we're going to talk about it more tonight. But for now, let's take 2 minutes with our journal. This is the intimate place. In the journal, you can write everything. Everything can happen there. So we're going to start with 2 minutes of just what's moving in me. And it could be everything. And you can think about it as metaphors or colors or words, whatever works. And if you don't exactly know what to write, just do automatic writing. Just put the pen on the paper and take 2 minutes to just write whatever words that come. It could be in the beginning, like just funny words, giraffe, um, floor, whatever, fountain. And slowly something comes out. So, what's moving in me? I'll call us back in 2 minutes. All right, so let's take a few more seconds to wrap up. And if you feel moved to, please share with us in the chat one thing that is moving in you now.
Ariel, can I say something?
Hi.
Hi, Ariel.
How are you? I think if you want to wait a second, everybody's writing in the chat how they're feeling today.
Okay.
I think we'll have a chance to share a little bit later, Naama, right?
Yeah, we're going to stay in the end for 15 minutes and talk with whoever wants to share.
Okay, thank you. Because I didn't get to last time, and I really wanted to talk to you all about something.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So fear and guilt and sadness for not being prepared and for struggling for connection to community and Hashem right now, and sweetness, spirituality, hope, peace, discomfort is moving in me. Same relief that all the options before me and all the possibilities floating around, any of them will be okay. Change only happens in circles. I am reading through. Thank you so much. Whenever we write, we're bringing to the world new ideas. It's like birth, and we all have different ideas and different feelings, and I love seeing our Torah coming together. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because so many things resonate with each other. Thank you. And for all of us who feel the optimism right now, wonderful. May you feel more and more flow. For all of us who feel the discomfort and the guilt and the fear, great. That will pass too. And one of the things that I feel like is a real big gift for me from Yemima is that she said that she teaches it's okay to be with discomfort. It's not easy, but it's a place of growth, and that place too we hope to have compassion towards. So thanks for sharing. Before we're jumping into our learning for today, I would love to get a little more Torah from you. So if you were last week in our session and there's something that stuck with you, some idea, something that resonated with you, something you thought about, maybe something you even played with in your own life, and you can share it with us in the chat, that would be great. So yeah, so one idea or few words or something that you heard last week on Wednesday and that resonated with you, stuck with you, and that you can share with us and echo back to us. Act to your ability, and the power of repair is greater than the power of error. How wonderful it would be to leave the past behind and start anew. Also the question, is this necessary for my life? God's on a birthing stool with us. Crowning is connecting to the source of life. The goal of a quiet heart. and that teshuva can be gentle and comforting, not harsh or judgmental. The image of crowning. Oh my gosh, I know, with me too. Make a hebdel between 573, 83 and 5784. That one cannot renew one's life if one is stuck on an idea, that our problems stem from being wrong. Yeah. And I'll just say that something also I was thinking with the crowning is that every year, like, the creator is a creator. And the Kabbalists thought that because we have Tzelem Elohim, because we are in the image of God, it means that we are creators too. So all the time we create new things. So living things in the last years are a way of just saying, like, we're renewing. Of course, our past is renewing and bringing new things to the world in the new year. And every year that we thought we already are one thing, something, there's more growth that is going to happen. There's more deepening that is going to happen. So we're not going back to being right. We're actually going to a new place in ourselves, birthing something new that is just unique to us because we're attracted to other things. And we have different things that we bring to the world. And today, actually, that's going to be our main focus. So great. Thank you so much, for real, for channeling this Torah in different ways. Separating from old habits, thinking, experience of Shabbat and Havdalah. Right. And I'll just say one thing that I think we said here in the past. I don't know if in this specific class or sometime else, but like one of the ways that the Kabbalists called boundaries, or din, which is a place of judgment, which is a place of Rosh Hashana, one of the ways that they call judgment a boundary, gevura, din, is intimacy. The place where we meet something that, like, we feel, oh my gosh, I can't enter, right? That feels maybe sometimes very limiting, is the same place where we're also putting a boundary and saying, only this thing can come in here. This is an intimate place. Not everything can come in here. So the place of these very strong boundaries that we spoke about last week, the separation, these very strong boundaries that are built from very gentle little moves, but the separation of the child from the learner, the separation of times, the separation of someone else's energy from my energy, is a place that sometimes can feel like a limit, it's like a separation, but it's also a place that creates intimacy. It's like, this is what can get into my space right now. So we're starting together. And, you know, we are here to prepare. A lot of us feel not prepared, but if we're really flowing with our new image of the birthing stool, it seems to me like this is the kind of event that you can't be prepared for. Like, even if you do all the preparation that you can do, you can't be prepared for it. You can't have everything ready. And even if you have the best plan and, you know, really thought through all the details, you're still going to get to an event that is about opening up, is about connection, is about bringing to the world something that is beyond you. And therefore, you don't know exactly how it's going to happen. So in a way, our preparation is in opening up, and that can happen really fast. So whatever authority I have, which I don't, I'm letting you all know you're ready. And that's going to be a lot of what we're going to talk about today. We're ready. And the readiness is really about something very small. And we want to really dive into what readiness means and what preparation means today. I want to lay here 2 Hebrew words that will guide us today in our journey. And the Hebrew words are hachana, hey, chaf, nun, hey, and chet, chet, tet, aleph. In English, it translates as preparation and din. And I think these are 2 things that are really, really very present in Elul when we're thinking about our sins and we want to be prepared for Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, sorry, and these like big days that are coming. The interesting thing, though, is that when you go to the Hebrew word, they usually have a root. So I want to say two things about these words. The word chet, sin, means in Hebrew also to miss. So if you're trying, let's say, to shoot something and you missed your goal, or yeah, do you say you go? If you missed the this little round thing that has the red and white, and you need to target. Thank you. So if you miss the target, that means it would be called lachti. Okay, you missed it. That would be chet. So in a way, a sin might, maybe when we hear it, we're like, wrong. We did something wrong. We did something wrong. We did a mistake. But last week you already learned that it's really important for us to make mistakes, right? So now we maybe want to add another meaning to the word chet. It means to miss the point, to miss the target, to be not exactly aligned, not exactly tuned. And the word hachana has in the middle of it the word kaf nun. Kaf nun can mean a few things. One is ken, yes. So maybe when I'm preparing for something, I'm asking, what am I saying yes to? What in my life am I saying yes to? Right? What experiences that are coming to me, I'm saying, yes, this is needed for me. This is needed for my experience. This is needed for my existence. This is something that is right for me. This is something that connects me to myself. So one thing could be like, what do I say yes to? And the other word in there, kaf nun, can also be like lehit kavnen, to tune in, to make an intention, to put an intention. So if we're thinking about chet, if we're thinking about sins as like a place when we did something wrong, and now we need to go back to be the right person, the righteous person, then that's one way of thinking, and that's really taking us to the court. But if we're thinking of like a birth plan and coming to God, to this like birthing event with our amazing circle of people around, we are thinking not about being wrong and being right, but about, am I like off, not present in my experience, or am I in my experience? So the chet here is to be out of my experience. And the hachana, the preparation, is just to kind of like set my intention on the thing that connects me to myself and to the flow within me, and to be there and to bring myself back all the time to that intention. So this is like, these are two words that we're gonna kind of like play with today. And we said that Elul has like the anxiety of getting ready for something big. We said that instead of going into a core this year, we might go into the birthing circle, a place where we don't just critique ourselves if we're right or wrong, but a place where we are making space for ourselves to connect and open to the divine and to that which is our mission to bring to the world, our aliveness. And that's so, I feel so nurtured to just remember that there is aliveness that's supposed to come through me to the world. And it could be, okay, some people are bringing children to the world. That's great. And we all the time, even if we're not bringing children, there's birth happening through us all the time. Our ideas, our projects, our things that we want to make real in the world. And these are unique to our souls and to our journeys. And this is our time to just remember them. So how do we prepare? How do we tune in? How do we say yes to that which is right for our journey? So I thought maybe for just a first little exercise for ourselves, let's just think, how do we prepare in general? Different people prepare differently, but if you can put in the chat, like, what kind of preparer are you? Like for when you get prepared for a camping trip or an event, or even just for Rosh Hashana, what are the stages for you to prepare? Yeah, tell us. Lists, Planning? Great. Clear the decks. Amazing. Overpacking. Getting ready for fun food. Anything else? How do you prep? All right. Reflection. Imagine. Mm-hmm. All right. Great. So keep it coming in small, manageable steps. Clean, make lists, carve out time, not to be doing things, research. All right. So think about like, all this prep that we're doing. Sometimes for Rosh Hashanah, we might sit and like look at different books for different like recipes, and we want to go and get the things. In a way, there is, I would say there are two main things in preparing, and some of them already came. Your details are so great. First of all, it's to do what we did last week, and that's the pregnancy of Elul. First of all, it's to say something is going to happen in some time, and I'm going to make space for myself to even pay attention. I'm going to make the boundary that keeps me safe. We stop. We raise consciousness. We put a boundary. We clean the decks. We are just dedicating, maybe putting a time slot on our Google Calendar to say, I need to sit and plan it. This is a boundary. This is a place where we're saying, this is a boundary. So when I'm getting ready to be birthing my new aliveness, to connect to the divine, one thing that I want to do is first to put a boundary. And that's what we were talking about last week, to kind of like get away from the mixture of life for just a little bit and kind of say, okay, where's my quiet place? Where can I pay attention to what's going on with me? How can I turn to myself, not be violent to myself, speak to myself and say, okay, this is needed to me, this is not needed to me. I'm making just like a space, making a bubble, to put a boundary, to see that we're not mixed up, to come close, to have space, to pay attention, and to know that we're so precious. We're channels of divine energy, bringing life to the world, bringing ideas, projects, whatnot. So paying attention, demarcating that which is not necessary for our existence from that which is, separating by just slowing, seeing, being with, tagging necessary or not, and trusting that it will make space, right? This was what we were talking about last week, separating the times, covering, kind of like just opening up space for ourselves. So that was last week. And today, after we have some space, after we set some time in our calendar for ourselves, after we guarded, we are ready to open up to our imagination, to open up to connect to what is it that we want to bring, to what is it that we're feeling that we need to bring, not even something that we're thinking about, but that we're sensing that is right for us. To open up. Now, opening up can be sometimes a place that is actually pretty frightening. It's a place that is dangerous. We know that we're not open in every situation. This is why we're starting with last week. This is why we're starting with, first of all, like creating the safe boundary. And today we're ready to open up. Rosh Hashana is coming in 3 days. So it has to be safe for us if we want to open up. And I want us to think today, like, what is the safe space that we're, just keeping in mind as we're coming to the prayers, and we want to really be open there on that day or whatever it is that you're doing on Rosh Hashanah. This is why we, again, started with the gate of Elul, with allowing mistakes, which is just like kind of cleaning up. And we need to know that we can trust our path ourselves, that we can be good guards for ourselves. And, I think we mentioned it last week, but the psychological in Yemima's work, and I think in just feminine understanding of well-being, is that the psychological is a road to the spiritual. So we're making this space to get there. So I want to read for us our first little portion for today. And I'm not going to do the dictation. I'm just going to read it twice. And then I will put it in the chat if you want to see it. But what I'm asking you to do is to just write whatever words that kind of like jump up to you. Whatever words that, wow, that's what you hear, write them down for yourselves. And this is a portion that Yemima gave in the last class of the year, where she's saying something that I find really, really interesting. New parts or portions are not available because this is the last lesson of this year, which is ending. You received abundance. Did you build yourselves through that abundance? Did you receive nourishment from the abundance in order to find more? Elul in Aramaic is search. Search and understand. And search as one who finds. I'm going to read it a second time. New parts are not available because this is the last lesson of this year, which is ending. You received abundance. Did you build yourself through that abundance? Did you receive nourishment from the abundance in order to find more? Elul in Aramaic is search. Search and understand. And search as one who finds. Look at your words and just tell us one thing. Either put one word in the chat or just tell us one thing that you understand from this. One thing that is an insight for you. And I'm also putting the text in the chat right now. Aha moment from the guts. Look for the positive. Search and understand. Dwell on something positive. Did you receive nourishment from the abundance? It is important not to let fear prevent us from benefiting from what we have. Daily gratitude, already there. I have to enjoy High Holiday, but not Yom Kippur. It's hard for me. Yeah, nourishment from abundance. Okay, so feel free to keep populating the chat. And thank you already for echoing it back. When I read this for the first time, I was like, whoa. New parts are not available. New parts are just not available in the time that you want to prepare. It's like, we're here to prepare. We're here to, and sometimes we have this urgency to kind of like go out there and find things outside. And especially in this consumer world, we're like, okay, so how am I going to prepare? Maybe I'll go to this and I'll go to that. And it could stress us out. And she says, you know what? You don't need anything new. Actually, you already know. This year is ending. It's part of the separation. But she says here, you received abundance this year. And sometimes when you ran so much, you might have not paid attention to it. But you already got so many insights. Did you receive nourishment for the abundance? Did it nourish you? Everything that you learned this year from your experiences, everything that you learned this year from things that you met, from things that you did for yourself, for things that you did to open up already. And she says, Elul in Aramaic means to search. And she invites us to search, not as if we don't know, but to search as one who finds. To search knowing that we are finding. It's not a search that is beyond us. It's not a search that is even external to us. It's a search that where we're finding. So the question is, what is this search for us? And we're going to delve into it in just a moment. But before that, I did this little exercise with myself yesterday, but I just want you to take your journal again and try to think from last Rosh Hashana to now. Just go through the months and ask, and maybe maybe there wasn't a ton of abundance, but there was some abundance. There was life coming through you. There definitely was like a few good things that you chose for yourselves. Maybe there was a ton of abundance. We have different years. Sometimes it's different than others. And just write to yourself, like, what are points of abundance that happened to me this year? What are insights that I learned this year that can nourish me now? So let's take like 2 minutes for it and search as one who finds. There are things there for sure. So 1 or 2 insights from this year, go through the months from last September to now, from last Elul to now. What is some insights that you have that can nourish you now? Something that you learned this year. Thank you, everybody who shared, and thank you, everybody who wrote. And I just want to emphasize, we're not here to force anything. I'm not trying to force myself to see the positive. I'm not trying to say that everything was for the good. Looking for things that feel real to me. And there's a abundance, and there's like places of like some stuckness, and that's totally fine. But there are places that we got abundance, and they can nourish us, and we can find them. So just want to make sure that I'm not trying to push you to see, things that you feel were not good in a good light, but just there were places of abundance, and it could be something, a new experience, could be a new meeting with someone. Something happened this year that gave us insights and can nourish us. Amazing, really. Thank you. So I feel that in order to search as one who finds, something that is really helpful is a question. And for that reason, I'm wanting to share with you one more portion from Yemima, where she speaks about Elul as a time of questions. So you know that we spoke about teshuva, right? Which we often translate as repentance. But the Hebrew most simple word for teshuva is an answer, right? If you go to school in Israel, then everybody asks you, okay, in a math class, ma teshuva, what's the right answer here? And Elul is a time of teshuva, right? It's time when you need to stand there. Again, if we're with our two images, if we're in front of the judge, we need to give answers. Yemima says the opposite. You need to come with a question. And then God will give you answers. Because if we believe that we are in the image of God and the way that God is a creator, we are creators, then we're also channeling divine flow. Therefore, we ask questions as a way to kind of like understand what needs to flow through us. And the question is, what is my question? Right? I want to open up. A question is a great way to open up. I want to get to Rosh Hashana open, and I want to come with a question. What is my question for the year? What is my research question, my soul question for my life? Right? This is a pretty big question. But let's dive into that second little part from Yemima. And I'm going to read the first part twice and put it in the chat the way we did before. And then I'm going to dictate 3 sentences. So, not the many words of reflection, but bringing the unfolding yesh, in parentheses, existence, in order to continue succinctly to clarify an additional clarity. Each one should ask a question, which is how to get there. Not the many words of reflection, but bringing the unfolding yesh, existence, in order to continue succinctly to clarify an additional clarity. Each one should ask a question, which is how to get there. So I'm putting it in the chat if you want to have this. And Yemima asks here something very interesting. She says, when we're trying to prep for Rosh Hashana, we might get into like all these like many, many words of reflection, right? Thinking back on our year. And she's like, that's great, but I want you to concentrate actually not on the many words of reflection that we can sometimes learn a lot from and sometimes kind of get entangled in, but to bring the unfolding yesh, the existence, in order to continue to clarify. So we started doing this a little bit now with the journaling, but to pay attention to the things that are flowing in our life. What is flowing? What are the things that when I come closer to them, I feel more alive? What are things that are life-giving to me? And then I'm asking how to get there. So when I'm asking about the abundance, it's because I'm asking where was abundance in my life? Where was flow in my life? Where were places that were life-giving for me this year? Because I want to ask, how do I get there? So I'm starting with just paying attention to what are the things that are life-giving to me? What are the things that are flowing for me? What are the things that are yesh for me? That are making me feel alive? And then I'm asking, how do I get there? And then she says, and let's write it together in the journal. Okay, so it's just 3 sentences. She says, the question is very important. At the moment when you're asking with your mouth, and not only in writing, you make that which you recognize all the time come closer. So that's in your chat too. I'm repeating it if you want to still write it in your journal. The question is very important. At the moment when you're asking with your mouth, and not only in writing, you make that which you recognize all the time come closer. Now, the word question, she'ela, in Hebrew, is really close to the word shilia, placenta. The question is a place that nourishes us. So we really want to get to the question. I'm going to go in just a moment, but just want to see where we are. So can you echo back to me in the chat, like, how does that idea of question lands with you? Thank you. Okay. So it feels open, feels relational, feels ready to receive. Question really opens our ability to receive, a way towards finding the way to flow, opening up, the precursor to creativity. Hashem spoke the world into being in a sort of what if. Perhaps perception of what matters. Stop the routinizing. Okay, right, the question, right, sharpens. Sharpen perceptions of what matters. Okay, sharpens, that was the word. Something that I've read in poetry about coming to a real work and how the impeded mind is one that sings. The question defines the answer. Has never been easy for me to ask anything, even of myself, but I'm ready to realize what is essential to me and to my creativity. Great. So it really is hard to ask sometimes. It is an open place. It is a vulnerable place. We don't like to ask things from people. I mean, some of us, because it shows of our vulnerability, the places that we're like, not so maybe. But standing with this vulnerability is really opening up. In the court, we're being asked. In the birth circle, we put out an intention and we know that we know. We come with our question. It will happen, not as we plan, but we will be grounded and connected. We'll be present and take it into the right place. We are the right people just because we are here. We have what to contribute to the world. now we just want to open up our question. And our question is kind of like, I feel, opening up the birth canal for us. And then with that question, we're gonna like go in. And we'll have the question, and we'll have the inner knowing that we will know how to birth this baby idea project. We are just taking our time to listen to the question within us. What is it that we need to ask? What is it that we want to be answered? And I'm not speaking here about a closed question. I want a new car. How can I get a new car? How do I get there? I want a new house. How do I get there? These are great questions too, of course. And the moment you ask them, suddenly you're starting to find out, right? Because sometimes we just don't even think that we have the opportunity to get these new things. When we're starting to ask, oh, how do I get there to a new house? I'm starting to ask people, oh, can you tell me about this and this and this that maybe I don't understand? In a way, finding our question is similar to this. It's like, what is something that we really yearn for in our inner life for this year? And it might be also not in our inner life, maybe beyond it, maybe in our material life. That's fine too. I don't know. I guess I just thought about it as like inner life, but you want to do something else, that's fine too. So I want to suggest 2 ways of recognizing our soul research question. And I wonder if there's you know what, because of time, I wanted to model it with someone, but I think I'm going to just give 2 options, and I want to give us like at least 7 minutes to work with it. Yeah, so maybe we'll do a very short modeling. Is there someone that is willing to model with me? Rebecca, I don't know. I'm not seeing everybody's faces. Is there someone who wants to try? I'm promising not to be too frightening.
I'll do it.
Who's speaking?
Laura,
Laura.
I'll do it with you.
Great. Okay. So the first option that I want to offer is to make our complaint into an ask. So I want to ask you to think for a moment, what's like a big complaint that you feel like you're going back to again and again? What's a complaint that is like a complaint that you're going back to all the time in your head? What is it, and how does it sound? If you feel comfortable. If it's too much,
I really feel like I need to vent it out and
great.
say what's on my mind.
Okay.
Family.
All right. And what's the complaint? How does it sound?
It's very hard.
But tell me the complaint. Tell me how the complaint sounds in your head. When you are complaining, what would it sound like?
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I'd rather be with other family.
Okay. So like it's a complaint like, I don't want to do this. Maybe it's too much for me, something like that. Great.
Mm-hmm.
So in this exercise, what we're doing is we're really trying to write down how I will articulate this complaint. If I'm giving now the speech that is in my head, how will it sound? And then, because complaints are usually some things that are really troubling us, we want to take that thing that we wrote, that complaint, and flip it to an ask. What do I ask? So for example, Laura, tell me if I heard you right. I can feel maybe that my family is like limiting me and I don't want to do something that they're telling me to do, and something is like really feeling wrong for me. So that will be the complaint. And then when I'll flip it to an ask, I'll say, I really want to feel safe in my family. I really want to feel that I can make the decisions that I want to make in my family. I really want to feel grounded enough to make my choices in my family. Okay? Did I hear you right, Laura?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So that was our first modeling. And that's one way to find a question or an ask, because a she'ela in Hebrew is to ask, which means ask a question, but also to ask for something. When Hannah says in the story in the Bible, I wanted this kid. I was asking for this kid. So it's not just a question of like, what happened when, right? Or what is my goal? But it's also, this is what I want. So Sheila can mean both things. I will add one more thing, that when you think of the complaint, another thing you can do is feel, where is it in your body? Where do you feel it in your body? And really breathe into there. And then make it into a request. So complaints are really great teachers for us to find the things that we're requesting, because it's basically our way to, instead of asking something when we feel that we can't, because it's really complicated for us. So instead of asking, we're just like complaining, because that's the way that we can still feel that thing. But this is a thing that is really within us, because every one of us has the complaint that is the complaint. It's not just, oh, the weather today was so annoying. It's like, there's the complaint that we're going back to again and again. So one way to find a request, it can be about external situations, but whatever it is that is external is always tells you something about yourself, because apparently not all of us complain about the same things. I mean, I have 4 siblings and we have different complaints about our parents. We have the same parents, okay? Or we have different complaints about our life, because we have different internal life. So it's a great question, right? It seems like external, but the complaints tells you about the thing that is actually there for you. For me, it's about confidence. For me, it's about control. For other person, it's about feeling of safety. For a different person, it's about, and great questions too. Who are we asking? Ourselves or someone? It's not asking someone, it's not even asking ourselves. We're putting a request out there as a place of, as a way for us to open up. Because the idea here is that that Elul is a time of Sheila, Zman Sheila, time for requests and questions. And then we're trusting that things will come down to us. It sounds a little weird, but if we're going to Rosh Hashana as like a birthing circle, and we believe that things will be born through us, then we're asking a question about something that is important to us. It could be a complaint that we're making into a request, and we're waiting to get insights, and they might be very small, but they will come. And we're being patient. And I feel that it's a place that is really healing. It's a lot of trust, because we're not trying to be now dependent on someone else to give us answers. We're trying to open a place. The Sheila, the question is our tool to open. And staying open is really hard, because that's the place where you want to close and be safe again. The open place is the place of trust. So one way for us to ask a question is to go from complaint to a request. Another way we can try to do it is so one way is through our emotions. A complaint is a strong emotion. Asking the universe, asking is a way of connecting, right? Asking is a way of connecting and opening up to the fact that we don't need to answer everything, but things will be answered through us. And if it feels like you have resistance to this idea, then just feel the resistance. That's fine too. I think at some point it like softens, but it definitely can make us feel resistance because being open is a little hard. Another way that I'm suggesting to reach that place is what my other teacher, Smada, sometimes called my research question. And she says, every one of us throughout our life, we're attracted to specific things. So we had hobbies that we liked and specific things that we like to do. Some of us love to cook, and some of us are like, oh my gosh, I can't take it. Some of us love to go camping, and others are like, why are you so crazy going camping? Some of us love, okay, so people are attracted to different things. And this is also another way to know what is it that you're asking. So the other exercise that I offer is to just write to yourself a list of hobbies and actions, and then try to find their themes and try to really write in the end, I'm attracted to these things again and again. For example, I'm always loving to go to like singing circles. I really love learning Torah. I really love doing things with women. And at some point, I realized that one of my research questions is like, how do we create Torah that is feminine and that nourishes women? Okay, so that's something that I learned from my experiences. And now I can come to Rosh Hashana and say, God, I know that this is part of my journey because apparently I'm going there all the time where other people are doing other things. So then my question can be, how do I bring more of that feminine Torah to the world this year? I'm coming to you. I'm coming to connect this year, and I'm asking, like, this is a place of aliveness for me. How do I do it? So I'm putting instructions for both options. One second. In the chat. Okay, you have the first one is the second one I spoke about, the research question. The second one is the first one that we spoke about, making a complaint into an ask. And I know that we have a relatively short time, but we want to use it to just tune in, okay? Instead of being in sin, which is like scattered, we want to find one question that we want to walk with into Rosh Hashanah. So I'm asking you to choose one of these exercises and journal with it. And if you're not sure, please chat with me in the private chat. And I'm going to call you back in 6 minutes. And by that time, try to have one question that you feel is real for you. And then we're going to ask that question loud, because Yemima says, don't just write it, say it. Say it with your words, say it with your voice, and open it up. We're not going to listen to each other because it might be private. So we'll either decide that all of us are going to unmute and it will be just noisy, or we're all going to stay muted but say it loud. So 6 minutes, try to think, what is my opening question for this coming year? And I'm available in the private chat. Okay. Thank you for everybody who wrote in the private chat. I hope my short reflections were a little helpful. So this is a pretty short time to do it, but I really invite you to keep playing with this. And the question can be very small. I feel that for me, the most important thing about a question is it needs to feel real. Even if it's very tiny, it needs to feel real. When it's real, then it's channeling something. And then I just hold the question. But like, if something that with me is like, how do I bring harmony to the world? Because I feel like that's what I'm attracted to all the time. Then I can hold that kind of question. And just hold it. I don't need to answer it. There's no urgency there. And there's no also only one right question. There are a lot of questions. You just want to find one that opens up. The idea is really to use the questions to open up. And we can take one with us into Rosh Hashana, and we can do that again. Every month, a new cycle is starting. Rosh Hashana is a big cycle that starts, but every month, a new cycle is starting. And to allow ourselves to ask a question without demanding an answer. Yeah. And again, with the complaint, I'm telling you, when I do it, I'm writing my whole speech that I'm giving to my whatever, to my uncle, to my husband, to my friend. I write the whole speech. And I'm feeling in my body, what is it? And I'm really allowing myself to ask, what is it that really bothers me? And that's where I'm then asking a question. And the question could be like, or the ask can be like, I really want to feel safe. How do I make my life more safe? That could be something. I really want to feel safe around that person. How do I make myself more safe around that person? That could be one. I really want to feel more creative in this part of my life. How do I get more creative in this part of my life? Or I really want to bring that specific topic to to my shul. How do I bring it? So for every one of us, it will be different because we're different and because we're channeling different things. But the questions are channels, and try to find one that resonates with you. And you can change them. No policing of the questions. But that's the offer here today. So we were trying today to say, this is the last class of the year. We don't need to look outside for many answers that will soothe us. We're agreeing to see the abundance that did come to our life, to find the places that felt life-giving, to try to understand them better, and to see what questions we can ask that can open these life-giving places for us more. And sometimes we do it by switching our complaints into questions, and sometimes we do it by just looking at what are the things that are life-giving to us, and how can we ask to open them more in our life. So I want to invite all of us to now unmute. Or you know what to mute. Everybody will mute itself. And just say your question out loud. Okay? I'm going to mute myself and ask my question as well. So let's take a few seconds. Just say it loud. Put it in the world. Ariel, do you prefer that we all unmute or that we all mute?
You're in charge.
I'm in charge. So you know what? Let's unmute. And I'll say 3, 2, 1 and say it together so that we don't hear anyone specific. Okay? So everybody unmute yourself. Unmute, 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 everybody. We're here in a safe place. Everybody here wants good things for each other. And okay, so feel free to also turn off if you don't want people to see you. Turn off your camera, and I'm gonna count to 3, and let's say our questions out loud. And Bezrat Hashem, may these questions be good dates for everybody to get great insights and really bring aliveness to their lives and to everybody that needs to get life from them this year. So 1, 2, 3.
How can
How do I find peace?
How do I learn to be more present with myself
Before I die.
at the expense of my
Where do I begin and they end?
Wonderful. Shana Tova Umetuka to
Shana
everyone.
Shana
Shana
Tova.
Tova.
And we're staying here for another 10 minutes, 12 minutes to talk to whoever wants to talk, ask questions, deepen a little more. So feel free to stay, and if you need to go, feel free to go, and really have a lovely, 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 wonderful Rosh Hashana and Shana Tova to you and all your loved ones.
Okay. All I want right now is a new version of the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur Machzor that is like written by Yemima and Naama together. That's all I want. I want to take you. I want to take all of you. I want to just like walk through all of these chagim together with this amazingness. Oh my gosh, it's a Tuesday, and to feel like so like split open with vulnerability. Thank you, Naama. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, all of you. I will do my best to capture the passages that Naama shared and the prompts that Naama shared and send it out so that everybody can have them again. I know I want it in my machzor next to me. Thank you, Naama. I don't know how to thank you enough. I hope that we'll see you again after the new year and before Yom Kippur, when we can come back together with Naama again. We're having a new HerTorah called Taking Back Yom Kippur on Wednesday, September 20th. You can find the link for that in the chat and we'll send it out. We have had an absolutely outstanding year, and I encourage you, please go visit our SVIVAH YouTube channel, because so much of the learning is up there. There's stuff for Rosh Hashana, for Yom Kippur throughout the year. There's more Naama, there's everything there. Please take advantage of it if you're looking for something wonderful to fill your time or keep you company in the kitchen or while you're traveling. I just want to say thank you. I know we're going to have time with Naama after this, but for me, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being my community. Thank you for being community to each other. Thank you for showing up here so powerfully, so beautifully, again and again and again, with compassion, with generosity, with curiosity, and with love. And I really just want to wish you all a Shana Tova. I know we all hold so much, and we are deep, deep wells. So may this be a happy, a healthy, sweet new year with sweetness and growth and many, many more opportunities to be together and learning with and from each other. Shana Tova. Now, Naama, the floor is yours.